Okay, first, thank you very much for the opportunity to address you as members of the media. And let me once more also just add to what Corporate Theo was saying to welcome you. We just had a successful provincial executive committee meeting of the SACP in Gauteng province. And the meeting, of course, did get an input from our leader of the deployees of the Central Committee to Gauteng Province, Comrade Matala Masuku, who many of you might also know him as the honorable member who also served as the Deputy Minister in the Economic Development Department. Otherwise, let me proceed to present our statement, which reads as follows, and of course I'll speak to it, that the Provincial Executive Committee of the SACP in Gauteng Province has held a successful Provincial Executive Committee meeting, which was a continuation of a meeting that we convened last week Sunday, a day following the announcement of the local government election results. The meeting that we held last week conducted a preliminary analysis about the real cause and effects of what led to a decline of the ANC electoral performance in the province of Gauteng, where we lost 3 metros in one election. This is a matter that we have looked at. We have adopted a comprehensive political report, which is about 45 pages, titled Reflections of the Provincial Executive Committee of Gauteng on the 2016 local government elections. So what we have here, it's a 45-page document reflecting on the real and major causes and factors that have contributed to where we are in the province of Gauteng. And what will follow now are just some of the summary issues, key issues that come from the political report. Firstly, one of the issues that we are raising in the political report is to welcome the statement that was released by our Politburo last week Monday, which statement has been well circulated, which contains the preliminary assessment of the Politburo on the outcomes of the elections. So as a province of Gauteng, we started by welcoming that preliminary assessment by our Politburo, and we have agreed with what the Politburo has identified as the key and critical issues that contributed to a significant decline and losing of 3 metros in our province. One of the issues that we want to emphasize as a province is that, and exactly the point that was made by the Politburo, that in analyzing the current outcomes of the elections, particularly in the province of Gauteng, we should refrain from conducting in a game of figure pointing and blaming any of the structures of the movement, be an alliance partner, or any of the components of the structures of the revolutionary movement. We believe that the tendency to apportion blame and to point fingers at each other denies us the opportunity to reflect on the issues that are quite critical to what we have experienced as a significant decline in our province. So we have dismissed, as the PEC, the notion on practice of either identifying perceptively what could be called the devil or look for the popular messiah to either blame or promote or give responsibility or blame to single individuals. So we have been very clear that what has happened in our province is a matter that requires collective accountability, and that all of us must take collective responsibility. So notions of blaming any of the leaders or structures of our movement, it's a matter that we believe will not give us the opportunity to reflect on what the people have said, particularly in the province of Gauteng. We have also raised the issue that our 45-page document analyzing the root causes and the challenges that account for what has happened is not a critique of any of our alliance partners. We are very clear that we are not conducting, an analysis of either the ANC or COSATU or SANCO, but our document is looking at the South African Communist Party, the province, and the role that we have played, and our contribution towards the vote that the ANC received in the province, and of course what we could have done to make sure that we manage the decline in electoral support as experienced in the province. We have also taken the opportunity to appreciate that the African National Congress remain the overwhelming political choice of our people. We must also make the point that, and this is clear from the numbers, the ANC nationally still enjoy the support of the people of our country, and of course we notice the marked decline in Gauteng province. So we should also indicate that neither of the opposition parties, as presented in certain media outlets, including some that we have here, that seeks to create the impression that the opposition parties have grown significantly high, that is not true. In actual fact, both the TA and the EFF, if you look at the investments they've made in the campaign, the messages that they've been sending, they've actually performed poorly, except of course that we didn't win the metros outright in Gauteng province. So the fact that the ANC lost the metros should not be wrongly perceived as opposition parties have done exceptionally well. They didn't, because none of them has won any of these metros. The EFF actually came very west because they're not having a control of any municipalities. I think there will be few wards that they've won. So the overall impression of the PEC is that the notion of an opposition that has done very well in the province is not consistent with the facts, because none of them have won the elections very clear in any of the municipalities. In actual fact, the DA simply retained, of course with an improved percentage, the elections in Midfield. But otherwise, we must dispel any notion of an opposition that is growing, that is thriving, that has hugely increased its percentage. The media reports are creating a wrong impression, as if, the opposition has outrightly or has won overwhelmingly the elections in the province. That is not the case, and we want to dispel that. We have identified 3 factors amongst many that we believe would have accounted for a significant decline in our electoral support. The very first one relates to the fact that in Gauteng province, with the highest population and internal patterns of migration that put strain on service delivery, on government, we believe the issue of the living conditions of the working class and the poor people constitute an important factor that will have contributed to a decline in elections. So the poor living conditions of the working class is a very, very important factor that we have looked at. What are the sources and the origin of this? One is that we must not forget that our country has had one of the most severe, deep and cruel colonialism of a special time, oppression of the people, marginalization of the overwhelming majority of the people. That point is quite critical, we must not forget. Related to this issue that create a problem as it relates to the conditions of our people, we have also noted that poverty, unemployment and inequality is much more pronounced in the province of Gauteng, more than anywhere in the country. And that is a reality that we're looking at. The economy of Gauteng is going in the financial sector, which does not create jobs, which continue to render many people unemployed. And that is also a structural feature of the economy in Gauteng province that is at the center of poor living conditions of the people. The capitalist system, which is rooted here in Gauteng province, has over the years made difficult the living conditions of our people. And we have also noted that over many years there's been crisis of capitalism, and the latest being 2008, 2007, crisis which would have also contributed to the worst living conditions of the people and would have also created the situation in which we are. We are aware that right here in Gauteng province, we have got massive evictions of people in the inner cities, in the townships, houses are being repossessed, people are highly indebted. So there's a very serious problem of living conditions of our people that is at the center of the crisis and the social problems that we are seeing. So the second issue that we have noted, over and above poverty, unemployment, and inequality as constituting difficult living conditions of our people. Second to that is lack of strong organization, including ourselves and most importantly ourselves as the SACP. We believe we need strong organization to make sure that we are able to mobilize the working class and the people to vote for the African National Congress. To this extent, we have identified the fact that in Gauteng province, we need to have SACP branches in all the voting districts across the province, and most importantly, in the townships. So we have identified the issue of weak organization and inability to mobilize the working class to be at the center of the weaknesses that have impacted on our electoral performance. Tied to that are issues that are raised in the Central Committee, in the Politburo press statement, matters that have been agreed upon at the Alliance, that also affecting our organizations are the triple problems of factionalism, corruption, and corporate capture of organs of the state. Those three challenges also affect organizational coherence and its capacity to mobilize the working class to deliver on what it has to do, which is to make sure that our people over the time consistently vote for the ANC. We are aware that there are problems that are being raised in the mass and commercial media, and of course which have been raised even by us as the SACP. We are aware that the issues of e-tolls constitute a problem in our province, but those issues as well requires strong organization. They can only be resolved by organizations that are capable to lead the working class, to engage them, to talk to them, to explain to them, and to indicate to them the need to vote and defend the African national.